It's a great day in our country. Thanks to the Republican Party, America is back, and we're excited about it. I talked to the president twice this morning already. We had a big meeting of the Republican conference this morning, and they're all excited. It's a great time for the country, and you can sense our optimism about all that.
Yeah, I didn't detect the Lizard King, Chuck Schumer, being very optimistic about anything. I should maybe put him on suicide watch. Because with Chuck Schumer, it'd have to be homicide watch. Crazy story out of the Iberian Peninsula. That is, of course, the peninsula southwest Europe, where you'll find Spain and Portugal. Wonderful countries, wonderful people. My father's family from the Basque regions and the Pyrenees Mountains, because they're Basque, so that's where Basque people come from. But a crazy story out of there, and it's pretty funny actually, because just a matter of days ago in Spain they were celebrating 100% renewables, energy, because the Democrats, they love this stuff, and they've got, and lefties, they have a lot of lefties there too, of course. Spain reached 100% renewables a week before blackout. That's the funny headline from 8 hours ago. But if you look from a week ago and from a little more than a week ago, you'll find that they were very excited to announce that Spain hit its first weekday of 100% renewable power on the national grid. And isn't that one? They've got solar and they've got wind power. They have windmills, Cuisinarts in the sky, chopping up rare exotic birds everywhere you look. And 7 days ago, the headlines were glowing. Spain hits first weekday of 100% renewable power on national grid. And all these environmental magazines and just regular newspapers were very excited. Spain's grid ran entirely on renewable energy for the first time on April 16th. April 16th, that's quite recent, with wind, solar, and hydro meeting all peninsular electricity demands during a weekday. Sure, 5 days later, solar set a new record, generating 20.120 megawatts. They just have MW because everybody speaks in megawatts when you're an environmentalist, of instantaneous power, covering 78.6% of demand and 61.5% of the grid mix. So that's big news, and they were very excited to announce that. And then, day before yesterday, the entire country essentially blacked out, along with the country next door, Portugal. Not the biggest country in the world, but a great country, great people. My best girl and I were in Portugal. We were in Lisbon, and we were on one of our sea cruises, then down to the Algarve. Wonderful, beautiful place. Now, it's almost crazy that Spain reached 100% renewables a week before an essential total blackout of the country and the country next door, and a lot of France, which is another country altogether. Isn't that amazing? The Daily Mail covered the story. The Washington Post did not, because it's not a newspaper. But amazing, amazing stuff with the, hey, look how renewable we are. And then really a matter of hours later, total blackout. Net zero, right? That's their goal. And the headline of the Daily Mail is Net Zero to blame for Spain blackout chaos. Why green power may have exacerbated anarchy as 30,000 officers are deployed to the streets, and panic buying empties shelves amid state of emergency. Now, they're halfway there, or more than halfway there in California, too, when it comes to this stuff. But Spain's green energy revolution was under scrutiny yesterday for making massive power cuts much worse as millions were plunged into blackout chaos. The country declared a state of emergency last night and said it deployed 30,000 police officers as part of security measures to deal with mayhem caused by the calamitous outage. A lot of good English words there. As power networks shut down across Spain and Portugal. Dramatic videos showed mayhem with traffic lights switched off and shops and railway stations going dark. Panic buyers emptied supermarket shelves, airports shut down, and trains ground to a halt. Isn't that great? Spain's increased reliance on solar and wind was said to have exacerbated the power cuts at a bare minimum because the renewables can make the grid less stable. No kidding. Now, is there some reason that we didn't know that already? But, it's not easy being trendy. And that's pretty extraordinary. So Spain hits first weekday of 100% renewable power on national grid. And then, and 60 million left without electricity in Spain and Portugal because environmentalists were put in charge of electricity. Democrats are against nuclear energy. They're against hydroelectric. That is a dam with turbines that create great amounts of electricity. Democrats are against it because, like the old philosophy question, because the fish. See, that's your Democrat Party. Amazing stuff. And Democrats, they're doing that in California because the little smelt fish, and you can't, that cuts back on agriculture, so you can't feed people. Everything they do is wah, wah, wah. I'm telling you. All right, let's go to the Speaker of the House, the Republican Speaker of the House, much of the time, Congressman Mike Johnson, who is, he speaks better than Kevin McCarthy, but that's not setting the bar very high either. Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, came to the microphones earlier today on Capitol Hill on the House of Representatives side. That is the south side of the Capitol. And Speaker Johnson talking about the first 100 days of President Trump.
It's been noted a couple times here, but 100 days ago, not far from where we're standing right now, President Trump made his historic return to the presidency. He made a lot of promises. And as Whip Emmer noted, the 4 words that best describe this administration so far is promises made, promises kept. We've recounted among this group many times, 77 million Americans delivered President Trump a landslide victory. We had our highest popular vote total ever as House Republicans, 74.8 million, and we got a mandate to do exactly what we're doing right now. We have not wasted a moment.
74.8 million. That's pretty good. The Democrats are going to need big gulags. The gulags are going to have to be really big because they're, commies. That's the thing about them. Speaker Johnson, President Trump inexplicably did an interview with this radical left-wing terrorist fake journalist, Jeffrey Goldberg, who was the guy that sneaked on to found himself on that group call and then sabotage the Republicans because he's a Democrat saboteur. And for some unexplainable reason, President Trump said, I think I'm going to do an interview with Atlantic Magazine and Jeffrey, who sneaked on and is there to sabotage you. President Trump does this a lot. He figures he'll take him by the horns and wrestle him to the ground and he'll win the debate. But there's such ideologues that there's no hope that they're ever going to play for a level playing field. Speaker Johnson.
The Atlantic, right? I don't know if there's an Atlantic reporter here this morning, but that's not President Trump's. They're not a fan of him, right? Yesterday they described him this way, quote, he is the most consequential American leader of the 21st century. And that's an understatement.
And that is an understatement. That's true. We're only 25 years into the century after all, so you got to take that into account. Speaker Johnson talking to the press. They're pretty quiet so far. Speaker Johnson.
President Trump has, here's a list: remove men from women's sports, ended DEI in the federal government and the U.S. military, expanded oil and gas extraction to lower prices, taken steps to end unfair trade practices, secured trillions of dollars in new investments in American manufacturing, deported criminal illegal aliens, stood up for religious liberty and rooted out anti-Christian bias, combated virulent anti-Semitism on college campuses. The list goes on and on and on. That's just barely scratching the surface. That's in 100 days. We're just getting started.
And that is a pretty good list that he articulated there. Combating the anti-Semitism, all inflicted by the Democrat Party at Democrat Party institutions from Harvard on down, or from Harvard on up, as the case may be. Combating illegal aliens, targeting the criminal illegal aliens and gang members that the Democrats invited into the country and handed their daughters over to them. Trillions in investment coming into the United States. Renegotiating trade deals with scores of countries, quite literally. Re-energizing the energy sector in the United States of America, big deal. Steamrolling DEI, saying no more men in women's sports, high school, college, or any place else, because men are men and women are women, although the Democrat Party has completely lost sight of that biological fact, including Ketanji Brown Jackson, of course, who doesn't know what a woman is, and she is one. Isn't that amazing? Man, oh, Manischewitz. And Speaker Johnson, the Speaker of the entire House of Representatives, with a good list, President Trump, 100 days. And there's more.
Trump has accomplished more in the first 100 days than most presidents do in their entire careers, their entire tenures. Nearly every public opinion survey found that voters in the last election were most concerned about two things: inflation and the wide-open border and the crisis that created. Look at this. On just these two issues, in 100 days, illegal crossings are at an all-time low, and inflation is falling rapidly.
Illegal crossings at an all-time low since we've been recording crossings. And I've got some Tom Homan coming up for you as well. Our borders are, because some truly astonishing statistics when it comes to controlling our border. Speaker Mike Johnson on, remember Joe Biden? Boy, that seems like a long time ago, doesn't it?
President Biden often said that he had exhausted his executive authority. He told me that we needed new laws. He told me this many times himself. We had to stop the border crisis, but Congress has to act. I pleaded with President Biden. Do your job. Use your executive authority. He claimed he didn't have it. But as President Trump has just demonstrated, all we needed was a new president.
All we needed was a new president, and that's exactly right, because honestly, the Congress has not been involved in securing the border, proving once again that Joe Biden was lying and lying and lying when it comes to securing the border, the power that he had. Just absolutely amazing. The liars that we call Democrats. He was president of the United States, and truly astonishing stuff. But President Trump has done it by executive authority, just with existing laws. But the Democrats are not on our side, and they lie about everything. If you ask a Democrat what time it is, get a second source. You know that this country was built on hard work, whether you're standing all day long, every day, running errands, chasing the kids, just doing your part to keep the world turning on its axis. You shouldn't have to deal with fatigue and foot pain and ankle pain, and that's where G-Defy shoes come in. G-Defy shoes are built with patented VersaShock technology. The Federal Trade Commission has authorized G-Defy to tell you and all of us that these shoes will help to relieve minor occasional pain associated with walking, running, and prolonged periods of standing. G-Defy shoes help to absorb harmful shock, align your body, improve your biomechanics, and return energy with every step that you take. You know that my best girl and I, we have G-Defy. We each have 2 pairs of G-Defy shoes. And hiking around the city, your arches get a massage. You feel better when you're done hiking around. Right now, because we're friends, you can get 50% off your order of $120 or more by texting Chris to 91888. Or you can go to Al Gore's Amazing Internet to gdefy.com and use the code Chris there. That's the code Chris, C-H-R-I-S. With GDefy's 60-day risk-free trial, you've got nothing to lose and everything to gain. Message and data rates may apply. Yes, sir. Isn't that amazing? I've got a lot coming up. Tom Homan, I've got coming up. Michelle Obama, I've got coming up. Big Mike, got that. An update on the illegal alien that robbed Kristi Noem. The Democrats are the bad guys again. You'll be shocked to learn. All that and more, as people like to say on television and the radio, coming up. Chris here with a list of things that none of us should trust. The Washington Post, the New York Times, anything on CNN. Here's a list of things that I do trust. The Washington Times. Support real journalism for just $1 a week at washingtontimes.com/Chris. All right. I have Tom Homan coming up on the border. I've got Big Mike Obama coming up, too. So don't go anywhere. And update on the Kristi Noem illegal alien thief. Right now, let's go to Marty calling from Kentucky. Marty, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Hello, like your style of your show. The problem in Washington is these guys that are called politicians are better actors than they are doers. And there's as many Republicans that want Trump to slow down because they don't want the truth out, because many of them are dirty, as well as the Democrats. The Democrats wear a label. I'm a Democrat, so you know they're full of it.
Yeah.
But the Republicans don't wear that label that I'm full of crap, but there are some of them, not all of them, are as full of crap as anybody. And Trump is a party of his own. He's an outsider. They want him to go slow so they won't find out all the dirt on all of them. And if they slow him down, they may make it to the next election, and they don't have to give up their free everything.
They're free everything. I got to, I like the way you think, I've got to say, Marty. And you're right, of course, that a great many Republicans, rhinos, and career politicians, and those that become drunk with power and the trappings of being a member of Congress, and very often great sums of money somehow make their way to elected politicians, members of Congress, and beyond. You're right about all that. And you're right. You said it very well, that Trump is a party of his own. And he is. He's not a traditional, ordinary Republican by any stretch of the imagination. He wasn't even a Republican until not so long ago, which is fine. That happens to some of the best of us, Ronald Reagan on down, including myself. But you're right, and we gotta keep an eye on him all the time, Marty. We gotta watch closely. That's what our media is supposed to do. There are a lot of people out there that are not the brightest people in the world. Of course, most people can't be the brightest people in the world, can they? But this is a pretty wacky story out of Japan, which is another country altogether. NBC Fake News has the story. Mount Fuji climber. Hey, Fuji. That's named for the Fuji character in McHale's Navy, right? Mount Fuji climber is rescued twice in 1 week after returning for lost phone. The 27-year-old university student, shouldn't he be out of the university by the time he's 27? Every day is an IQ test. The 27-year-old university student was carried down the iconic Japanese mountain on a stretcher days before being airlifted from its peak. I got to tell you, the dateline is Tokyo. And Arata Yamamoto writes the story for NBC Fake News. A climber was rescued twice in 1 week from Japan's Mount Fuji after he went back to search for his lost phone, police said on Monday. On Sunday, rescuers carried down the climber on a stretcher from a station on the Fujiyama Trail, which sits about 10,170 feet high. That's not so bad. You don't have to worry about it until you get to like 14,000 feet for oxygen and stuff. The Japanese news outlet Nippon TV cited the local police, saying the man appeared to suffer from altitude sickness, but was not in life-threatening condition. 5 days earlier, on April 22nd, the same climber called the police, he had a cell phone then, and was airlifted from the peak of Mount Fuji after he lost his crampons. Sure. I think Democrats want to put crampons in men's rooms in high school, don't they? That's another thing. So his crampons be like the spiky footies you put on your boots because when you're walking on ice and mountains, you put these crampons, they're called. I know, I've been to Antarctica, I've been to Alaska again and again. I grew up in Chicago. So we got that. So here's this guy. The spiky metal frames are attached to shoes, make it easier to walk on ice and snow, says it right there. And fell sick with nausea because he lost his... How do you lose your... They're on your feet. They're on your shoes, on your boots. How do you lose them? And then, oh, no, I'm so tired. He then returned to the peak on Saturday in a bid to retrieve his cell phone, among other personal belongings he left behind during his first hike. This guy fails every IQ test there is. The man who has not been publicly identified, he should be, just to humiliate him, has not been publicly identified, is a 27-year-old university student and Chinese national who lives in Tokyo, police said. He should go back to China and make shoes or something. He should make Nikes. Isn't that amazing? So police in Japan, in the Shizuoka prefecture, were alerted that he had returned Saturday when another climber reported spotting the student on the trail lying on the ground and shaking with abrasions. The next day, rescuers carried the injured man down about 2,600 feet on a stretcher before handing him off to an emergency team. Sure. It was not clear whether he had successfully retrieved his phone. Got to go back one more time. I got to say, hey, buddy, you're on your own. That's the thing. We'll meet you at the bottom this time. Hey, we have your phone. Hold up any phone and say, we have your phone. Tell them to come down. The rescued student was scaling Mount Fuji outside of its official climbing season, which is scheduled to start in early July and end in early September. There is no penalty for off-season hiking or the need for rescue. Sure, I think there should be a penalty.
Son, you're on your own.
Exactly. That's what I'd tell him. Mount Fuji, national symbol of Japan, is 12,300 feet above sea level. I assume they mean the peak. And it's a pilgrimage destination and UNESCO World Heritage Site. Almost everything is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. I can't tell you how many times my best girl and I, we scoff at and laugh at UNESCO World Heritage Sites. We've been so many places that there's a plaque. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. We've spent more on plaques for UNESCO World Heritage Sites. Gotta tell you. Yes, sir. Crazy stuff. Normally, hikers are required to make prior reservations, and you pay a mandatory fee of $36. That's 4,000 yen to climb Mount Fuji. You got to pay to climb Mount Fuji. It's nature. It's outside, isn't it? Come on. That's crazy. The charge was only introduced in July of 2024 to limit tourist numbers to 4,000 a day after growing complaints on litter and pollution, dangerously crowded trails. Yeah, you might run into Unit 731 there, to the obscure World War II history that performed biological warfare experiments on you. All right. We have, gosh, look at the time. I can't believe it. Now, so many things going on. First of all, President Trump has big plans. He's a very busy man, as you probably know. But President Trump tomorrow has a very busy schedule. He's doing a town hall in the evening on the television channel News Nation with Chris Cuomo, also known as Fredo. And 8 p.m. on News Nation tomorrow night, President Trump doing a town hall with Chris Cuomo, Fredo Cuomo, and who else will be there? Bill O'Reilly, formerly of the Fox News Channel, and Stephen A. Smith of ESPN will be participating in the 8 p.m. Eastern Time town hall meeting with Fredo Cuomo. I don't know why you do that. That's pretty crazy. But 8 p.m. tomorrow night, Wednesday, which will be April 30th of 2025 AD. So President Trump is doing that. That's remarkable. And Kamala Harris, she has a speech tomorrow in San Francisco. She will be the San Francisco treat tomorrow. Kamala Harris plans pointed critique of Trump in first major speech since leaving office. You know, you're in no position to criticize anyone, I've got to say. There's nothing positive to be said about you. But Kamala Harris will be at a hotel in San Francisco tomorrow night to critique Trump and his policies, really, like trying to stop war in Ukraine that started under you, trying to stop war in the Middle East that started under you. You guys had 9% inflation. President Trump has 2-point-something% inflation. We've secured our border. We're arresting illegal alien criminal gang members that are marauding through the United States, terrorizing everyone. Oh, speaking of which, this is a wild story because, but Kamala will be giving a speech. President Trump's town hall is pretty amazing. But let's go to the illegal alien that robbed DHS Secretary, Department of Homeland Security Secretary, Kristi Noem, stole her purse from a nice burger joint in Washington, D.C., where she was having Easter dinner at this pretty casual, nice burger place, but it's a burger place. And it turns out that the illegal alien that robbed her of her purse worth many thousands of dollars, with thousands of dollars of cash inside, turns out that this illegal alien had been arrested in New York and for robbing people in New York. And in New York, you know what they did? They let him go. Isn't that amazing? Because they're Democrats. The New York Post has the story, illegal migrant accused of snatching Kristi Noem's Gucci purse was free after a similar crime in New York City last month. The guy is a Noem criminal. That's the first line of the New York Post story. Pretty funny. The illegal immigrant. I prefer illegal alien. I think it's more illustrative. The illegal immigrant who was busted for snatching Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem's Gucci purse was picked up by cops in New York City for a similar crime just a few weeks earlier. But they let him go with a desk appearance ticket and a court date, which he won't show up for because he's an illegal alien career criminal. So he came to Washington and he robbed a cabinet secretary. And if she hadn't been a cabinet secretary, the police never would have caught up with him, no doubt. The NYPD's warrant squad was hunting for Chilean national Mario Bustamante Leyva, 49 years old, because he never showed up to court when he allegedly ripped off Noem during Easter dinner with her family at a Washington, D.C. burger bar, law enforcement sources told the New York Post. after swiping Secretary Kristi Noem's purse, which contained $3,000 in cash, her passport, wallet, and government ID. He hopped a bus and he sidled up to the bar at Angelo Ristorante Italiano in Washington, D.C., where he boozed it up until midnight and rang up a $205.87 bill, drinking and eating at Angelo's Ristorante Italiano in Washington, D.C. on the DHS Honcho's American Express. He's got a pocket full of cash, and he's using Kristi Noem's American Express, and they're taking it. According to documents released by prosecutors Monday, the federal government also released surveillance images of Bustamante Liva wearing a white face mask, racist, and a baseball cap before and after he allegedly stole Noem's $4,000 luxury bag from under her feet at Capital Burger. That's the name of the burger joint. Another picture allegedly showed the accused serial thief at Angelo. Noem's Gucci bag clearly in view while chatting on a cell phone. This is what the Democrat Party wants more of, because that's what they're doing. All right, so many amazing stories out there, your Democrat Party. Now, let's go to Michelle Obama, because Michelle Obama, what is she most fearful of? Another fun New York Post story, most important paper in America. Michelle Obama is most fearful of this Trump administration policy, quote, keeps me up at night. Sure. Now, tranny chameleon, former First Lady Michelle Obama voiced deep concerns about what's happening to migrants under President Trump's aggressive deportation policy, railing against its impact on her home city of Chicago.
In this current climate, for me, it's, what's happening to immigrants. So it's
illegal
it's
immigrants.
Not the fear for myself anymore. I drive around in a 4-car motorcade with a police escort. I'm Michelle Obama.
Don't you know who I am?
My fears are for what I know is happening out there in streets all over the city.
Yeah, illegal aliens murdering and raping and robbing cabinet secretaries and then leaving New York and not showing up for their court appearance. She's not concerned about the American people. She's a Democrat. What she's concerned about is criminals, not crime. Her heart goes out to the criminals.
Now that we have leadership that is sort of indiscriminately determining who belongs and who doesn't.
Lie.
And we know that those decisions aren't being made with courts and with due process.
Lie.
And, that it's being made like this cop that pulled my brother over when he was 12.
Ah, yes.
You don't look
like
like somebody that belongs.
Is that what happened when your brother, who's like 16 now, was 12 years old and a cop, and that's got everything to do with nothing? What a dimwit.
Knowing that there's so much bias and so much racism and so much ignorance that fuels those kind of choices, I worry for people of color all over this country.
POC.
And I don't know that we will have the advocates to protect everybody. And that frightens me. That keeps me up at night.
That keeps her up at night, not her husband. Every time I think of and hear Big Mike's voice, I can't help but think of the great Joan Rivers.
Do you think that the United States will see the first gay president or the first woman president?
We already have it with Obama, so let's just calm down.
Got it.
You know Michelle is a trans.
I'm sorry, she's a what?
A transgender. We all know.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes. Just a couple of weeks later, Joan Rivers died mysteriously while undergoing a minor medical procedure at an exclusive clinic in Manhattan. Big Mike doesn't like being mocked. Yeah, her brother was pulled over. What, he was 12? What was he doing driving? Maybe the cops noticed there was a 12-year-old driving the car. Had he stolen the car? I'm just curious. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, people of color. Well, a lot of illegal aliens are slightly browner, but they're illegal. See, the whole thing is illegal. That's the problem. illegal migration is illegal. See, Big Mike? That's how that works.
I drive around in a 4-car motorcade with a police escort. I'm Michelle Obama.
Let's go to our border czar, Tom Homan. He's a little gravelly mouth, but what he says is true and accurate. And Tom Homan was on the television this morning, and I was watching the television for you at 6 a.m. Tom Homan talking about the ICE arresting illegal that Big Mike Obama, tranny that she is so concerned about the illegal aliens. I'm concerned about Americans being murdered and everything by all the illegal aliens that the Democrats waved in.
ICE arrests in the interior about 3 times higher than the Biden administration was, but they were counting border removals with ICE removals. And of course they had a lot of border removals. They had 10.5 million people come to the border.
10.5 million people. Only 12 million people came through Ellis Island over the course of more than 60 years. That's the fundamental transformation in America. Tom Homan.
I looked at the numbers the other day. Under the Biden administration, we averaged about 10, 11,000 a day, the high points. Some days at 15,000. You know what the number was yesterday? 178. Wow. 178 across 2,000 miles of border.
178, 2,000 miles of border, 178, not tens of thousands. Tom Homan is on our side, keeping America safer.
Since January, the Trump administration has released 9 people. 4 were material witnesses in a criminal investigation. We brought them in to testify in a court hearing on a cartel hearing. 4 were in extreme medical distress, so we had to move them to emergency medical facilities. 1 was a humanitarian. In that same time frame that we released 9, they released 184,000 illegal aliens in the country. Wow. So President Trump, he's a game changer. What's happening on the border? He did in 7 weeks what Joe Biden couldn't or wouldn't do in 4 years.
That's a fact, Jack. Democrat, radical extremist, communist leader in the House of Representatives, Hakeem Jeffries. He's worried if you don't throw trillions and trillions of dollars at the Democrats, that's where I think illegal aliens might die.
People will die if this budget is successful.
The budget.
That's how urgent the fight is.
Lie.
Will hurt children, hurt families, hurt women.
Stop aborting
hurt
babies.
Seniors, hurt people with disabilities.
People
close
with disabilities.
Hospitals.
Close hospitals.
Close nursing homes.
Uh-huh.
People will die.
Stop shooting people. Stop firebombing people. Stop terrorizing Jewish people. Honestly, what's the matter with you people? Can I call them you people? Hakeem Jeffries. Why they call him Hakeem? What kind of name is that?